How do I know that the meeting between King Charles and Harry did not go well? I get asked this on my videos a lot of the time. How do I know some of the things that I do, even if I don't have evidence? Well, that is because of body language and behaviour. And most of the time I talk about Harry and Meghan, and their behaviour shows us the truth. Not just the things that they tell us, but show us. So I'm going to discuss why I believe that meeting with King Charles did not go well. And I'm going to give you my thoughts and my opinions as to why. So please drop a comment to let me know your thoughts and your opinions. My name is Ems, I'm a qualified UK therapist, and I use my over 20 years experience in this field to help you understand body language, behaviour, not just what's being said, but reading between the lines of what's not being said. What we're being told in the mainstream media is not always the truth. So if you're still here, welcome. Go grab your drink of choice, whatever that may be. Sit back, relax, as we get into some tea with some therapeutic knowledge. So, hey everyone, I hope you've having a good, I'll get my words out in a minute. I hope you're having a good week so far and you had a good weekend. So today I'm enjoying I haven't mentioned this in a while, but my cherries and berries. Because that, as most of you know, is one of my favourite drinks. And no, it's not alcoholic, but even though I think there is an alcoholic version, but this is not. So stay to the end because I have an announcement to make. So make sure that you stay towards the end. Yeah, just going to force you to watch the whole video. So, but anyway, right. So yeah, a lot of the time I get asked when I do the videos that I do is how do I know what I know? And I think that for most of you here, you will probably understand what I say when sometimes it's not about having evidence, because we know that when people are in the public eye, you don't always, well, you're not able to have access to evidence. So then it's about trusting your instincts, not just that, but also looking at body language, behaviour, and as I said in the script, not just what's being said, but reading between the lines. One of the things I've often said about Harry is that he's very reactionary. And I've seen, especially since the meeting with King Charles, that there's been so much clickbait, so many Harry's, I just see so many things like, you know, Harry and King Charles has been in this all along, and he's like people attacking the royal family, saying they're behind everything, and Harry and Meghan are secretly working with them, etc. That, you know, Harry and Meghan are coming back to the UK. We're now seeing, which I'll get to in this video as well, you know, that the children are going to be going to a UK school. And so I imagine that you guys must be sitting there thinking, oh, you know, what is the truth? What is really going on here? You know, this just is just crazy, all of this, you know, these different media pieces that we're seeing and social media. So that's why it's so incredibly important that we firstly don't forget everything that's happened, that's transpired since Harry met Meghan. And we also look at behaviour. I don't believe that it went in the way that people are proclaiming that it did. And we have to look at the picture as a whole. So firstly, we have Meghan, right? So Harry and Meghan, even though I have said probably a million times that they're not together, as in romantically together, I know we see them every now and again, and they seem to appear together when there is something that's come out in regards to William and Catherine. So obviously recently we've had the visit from President Trump. The fact that Harry was not mentioned in the speech that President Trump gave. Now, I've seen a lot of things with that, and my opinion is, looking at this from a practical perspective, why would Harry be mentioned? He's not a working royal. He was not there in the room. But do I Do I feel that perhaps President Trump used that cleverly to throw slight shade at Harry? Possibly. Possibly. The Princess of Wales looked stunning. The Prince of Wales looked very handsome. It was just beautiful. I loved the whole pomp and circumstance of it all. But of course, yes, some people are complaining that he didn't mention Harry. But like I said, why would he? But anyway, so I think that Harry and Meghan, when we see them together, it always seems to be after we have something that involves William and Catherine looking very loved up, very together, etc. And so, of course, then we see pictures of them coming out in regards to them turning up to Kevin Costner's event. What's interesting, though, is that there was no advertising that Harry and Meghan were going to be. So, of course, what they do is they announce it as a surprise visit. Now, personally, I don't believe that for a second, because he stood up and he presented an award. And, of course, she stood with him on stage because she's got to be in on it somehow. But there was no mention of them being there. And the reason is because I believe that they want, it's like a preemptive strike in a sense. It's like, they want people to turn up, they want people to donate, and they know that Harry and Meghan come with a very big level of scrutiny. And a lot of people boycott things because of their feelings towards Harry and Meghan, which is a shame, because ultimately it's not about them, it's about the first responders. It's a bit like Invictus, really. It's like Invictus is about the veterans, but unfortunately they become collateral damage in the media scrutiny that Harry and Meghan bring because of their behaviour. So I understand them not being mentioned. So to cover that, they then have to say, oh, it's a surprise appearance. So you're telling me this that's been planned, and it's planned for every single year. They have to do all these things because of security. They have to know who's coming. Harry and Meghan, I know that some people say they just turn up to things, but when you're appearing on stage, you don't just rock up to something and go, oh, I'll take someone else's spot and I'll give out that award to somebody. No, this was planned. But what I do suspect is that they gave a donation to secure their place, because these are tickets. So people can buy tickets. There's certain, like there's VIP, there's ones that get cabanas, but backstage pass, etc. So I think that they probably contributed a big donation and said, but I would like to give out an award. And of course, because Kevin Costner is a businessman and because he wants this to be about the first responders, I imagine he's not going to say no, but he also didn't advertise them being there. Now, if you believed that Harry and Meghan were going to draw in a big crowd, get more donations, you would absolutely advertise them. So yeah, I think that after the 2023, when there was the big hoo-ha with them turning up, yeah, I think that he realised, yeah, we want their money, but we just don't want to advertise them being there. So it does show you the way people do view them in America. But of course, there were pictures that come out, and even though it wasn't really circulated that well, but there were pictures of them looking, and of course the media are like, oh, look, Harry and Meghan looking all loved up. And they always seem to do that when there's been something that comes out with William and Catherine. But anyway, so getting back to the point that I'm sort of trying to make is it's always about watching their behaviour and what they do. Like how she's using the children. We know she's doing that. Like there was a recent picture that she put out, and if I've got it, I'll put it up here, of the back of their heads again. The red hair seems to have disappeared. But if you look at Lily, she looks as big as the boy. She looks as big as him. Yet bearing in mind, there's supposed to be, is it 2 years difference between the two of them? But suddenly it's like we seem to be having a case of Archie Button, because he seems to be just getting smaller. So I think that she's utilising old pictures. I think that she's editing. I've said this before. So she's using children but people are getting so bored of everything now that even that's not even drawing anything. People don't really care. But we have now this thing with Harry and him meeting his father. The minute Harry came away, now that meeting lasted between 50, people are saying 50 minutes. Some people are saying less, but let's go for the, let's just say that was 50 minutes. The first time you meet your father, I do not believe that if this had gone well, they wouldn't have stayed together longer. So I think that there was something in mind. So Harry had something in mind. What seems to be coming out is that King Charles has stood firm on there will be no half in, half out. I am honouring what my mother put in place for you. And I absolutely do believe that Harry has used the guise of, I want to spend more time with my father because he's not well, and use that as, look at me, I'm such a great son, but potentially asked his father to accept him doing more royal duties, but staying in the US. So he would come back over here to be included in the things that are beneficial to him, like the state events and things like that, like on the balcony, all of those things. Happy to utilize that, but doesn't want to do anything else, but wants to stay in America. Now, I do firmly believe that. I do firmly believe he doesn't want to come back to live in the UK. I think he enjoys his life of being a bum and not really doing a lot over there, and he just wants to dip in and out. And I think his father said no. Because what happened then was Harry on the back of that, then went to Ukraine. Now, you cannot tell me that if the meeting had gone well and Harry had got, say, what he wanted, that he then would have gone and done something which would have been frowned against. He did two things. He went to Ukraine, which is very, very like a terrible move, in my opinion. I believe he used in the guise of Invictus to do it. He went the same time as Yvette Cooper, and it was her first visit, so it overshadowed her first visit. This would have been deeply frowned upon with the government, and of course King Charles. Not only that, William has been told, rightly so, that he cannot go because of security, right? Because there's a lot going on there right now. So Harry, dismissing that, bearing in mind how security conscious Harry seems to be when it suits him, that he can't bring his family to the UK and it's very dangerous, but he can go to Ukraine. Then he scuttles off. No one knows where he's gone for about an hour. So of course the rumours are rife that he met with Zelensky. Now this was very, very frowned upon because they absolutely informed that the optics would be terrible for him to meet with the rogue prince. But even though there's no concrete proof that he did, it's the fact that rumours have circulated that he did that's bad enough. Harry, as much as he is, in my opinion, a bit dim, he would know this. He's not that stupid that he knows that this would not be something that people would believe. So knowing all of that, you cannot tell me, I will not believe even, that the meeting with his father went well. Because if it had, there is no way on any planet that Harry would have then thought, right, I've just got to see my father. He's agreed to the terms. He's agreed to everything that I want. I'm now going to annoy him, annoy my brother, who is going to be the future king, and go and do something that I know is very frowned against, especially with the UK government. As I've said before, Harry is like a petulant child. When he gets told no, when he gets rejected in some way, he acts out. And this is what I believe he's done. So for everyone who thinks that Harry's coming back to the UK, that he's going to be working with King Charles, that King Charles has actually been in it all along, and he's working with Harry and Meghan, just stop. Because you only have to look at behaviour. Harry and Meghan would not be behaving the way that they do if they were getting what they wanted from the royal family. They would not be creating themselves to look terrible in the mainstream media. Harry would not be writing things like spare you're telling me that the king is kind of like, yeah, you know what, Harry, we're going to give you everything that you want behind the scenes, but you've got to make the public believe that we are enemies. That you, for what reason? For what reason? I can understand it if there was some benefit, but there isn't. There is no benefit for Harry and Meghan to create this whole farce over the last, 5 years, when really they're working with the royal family to accuse your grandmother, late grandmother's legacy of racism, to attack your family on Oprah and do things so publicly. Well, all of that's a ruse. Everything that he wrote in Spare, the way Meghan has done her interviews, the way she's done her podcast, the way she's had little digs at the royal family. You're saying that all of that is a ruse and really they're all working together. I honestly don't know how people's brains get to that. I really don't. Because if you actually strip everything back, it's very simple. Harry and Meghan are acting out because they've not got what they want. Whatever that may be, whether it's that they wanted the half in, half out, which is probably what I think initially they were after. I think that they believed that by going to Canada, they were going to get that. I think that they believed by going to Canada, and I think the late Queen naively probably thought that that was the plan, that maybe they were going to go, they were going to just have a think. I believe Meghan was booted out of the royal family because of her behaviour. I also think she was booted out because she did not get along with the boy, that we're being told is Archie. And so they had to come up with something. And I think the plan was to have Meghan in Canada, and possibly that Harry was either going to go with her or he had the choice to stay behind and divorce her. And I think, like I've said before, that Canada pap walk sealed everything, because she basically was saying in that Canada pap walk, I'm walking with a doll. It is so obvious. I want the mainstream media to pick up on this, but because of the relationship, I think, between the media and the royal family, they probably infiltrated any stories that were saying this is a doll and stopped it from being printed, because we know they can do that. But the fear of that, of her threatening to expose the truth, was enough for them to say, Harry, you're going to have to go and you're going to have to carry this pretense on. So that's when they went. And then I think they then concocted the plan, Meghan crying to Tyler Perry. And I think Oprah, because she desperately wanted this interview, who is very good friends with Tyler Perry, said, give them what they want. Let's get them over here. I want this interview. It's going to be explosive. And it was, for all the wrong reasons. Oprah is a businesswoman. Whether you like her, don't like her, I'm not a fan of her at all, because I think she's a very shady character. But that's all she would have cared about. She wouldn't have cared about them. She wouldn't have cared about their well-being. It's like, I want this interview. So if we can secure them and keep an eye on everything, get them over here. So they organised the flight, the Freedom Flight. They organised the flight. They organised everything for them to stay at Tyler Perry's mansion to secure the interview. So then you have the fact that everything that they've done since then has been to attack the royal family. You cannot tell me the way she's attacked, the way both of them have attacked the Prince and Princess of Wales. There's no way that this would happen if they were all in cahoots. So that to me is just such a crazy conspiracy theory. I think it is literally the fact that Harry and Meghan have not been given what they want. Meghan has not become successful. I think she truly thought that by being attached to the royal family, she was going to have all of this success. And if she had, she would have dumped Harry by now. If she'd have secured herself, because if you look at her behaviour, again, behaviour, not just what's being said, but reading between the lines of what's not being said, the behaviour, the body language. Every time she's elevated herself, whoever she has been with at the time gets discarded. When she secured herself in Suits, she discarded Trevor. When she secured herself at Soho House and she was able to manipulate the Mulroneys and she got what she wanted, she dumped Corey. She will do exactly the same with Harry. The only reason she hasn't is because she has not elevated herself to the way that she hoped. If she secures herself a billionaire, say for example, if she secures herself somebody, and it seems to be rather odd that Ted Sarandos, who is, was he the CEO of Netflix, gushes about her. So whether or not she's grooming him, possibly, and he's worth a bob or two. So this is what she does. So if she believes that she can, because Harry can't take her any further now, the only way it could potentially go further is if he aligns himself back with the royal family. Hence why he's tried to secure a meeting with his father. Hence why I believe the meeting was, could we do the half in, half out? Can we come? Can we be part of the events that happen here? Securing their relationship with the royal family. Ultimately using that to do what they want outside of that. Now, Meghan is never going to be happy with that. Hence why she tries to devalue Harry in the ways that she's done it. Because she, even though she wants the connection with the royal family, she doesn't want to come to the UK. So anything that could potentially mean that they have to move back or they have to come to the UK more, she's going to scupper that. She wants it, but she doesn't want it. So she wants it in theory, but she doesn't want to actually work or do anything connected to that. Harry, I think, does. Harry wants to stay in America, but I think he wants to be part of the family still. I think he misses that. So he's trying to find a way that fits for everybody. Well, no, actually, that's not true. He's trying to do it so it fits for him and Meghan. Because at the moment, on paper, they're still together. So he has to include her because it's going to be weird. If he came over here for state events, it's going to be weird that he comes over here but doesn't bring Meghan. So either one or two things, they're looking for a divorce because he wants out. That's very possible. Because the other thing as well is the rumour mill of them coming to, like the children going to the UK school. It's mainly Archie. So things apparently have been put in place, apparently, that he wants Archie to go to Eton. Now, if that's true, I feel that's more conclusive proof that Archie is here in the UK, as I've always said. And I've always said this. I have never deterred from that. I believe it is very possible that he lives in the Midlands somewhere because I've had people send me things. I think that he lives in the Midlands somewhere. I actually don't even believe his name is Archie. I think that they used the name Archie, the public version of Archie, because it was a dig at Prince George. A bit like the name Lily, and I'm not going to say the full name out of respect for the late Queen, because that was a dig at the late Queen. I don't believe that was her original name. I've always said that it was either going to be Diana Mary or Mary Diana, because Mary was also the late Queen's one of her middle names. So I think that when Harry went to the late Queen and said, we'd like to use your name, I believe it was Mary. That was the one that he asked and she agreed to, but they then twisted that, or Meghan twisted that. So when the adoption didn't go through initially, or the surrogacy didn't go through, they then had to scramble, and there was a Diana Mary born, or a Mary Diana, I forget which way round it is, but that child has gone to different parents. That child is not with Harry and Meghan. So I think that they then adopted a little girl, which is why we're now seeing a little girl more since she's been on Instagram, because it's interesting that we never saw that little girl growing up. We saw pictures of her looking like Stacey Schroeder's daughter, but we didn't see actually any other pictures, normal pictures of this little girl growing up. Suddenly Meghan's on Instagram and suddenly we see this girl that's about 3 or 4 years old, and we keep seeing different versions of her. Her hair is different, the colour's different, but it looks like a similar child. So I think that they have adopted a little girl, or she has, or whatever it is. But I think that they're using old videos and pictures of the boy, or they also have been utilising Eugenie's little boy. But now Eugenie doesn't put any public pictures out of her children. And if she does, she uses the back of their heads. So now Harry and Meghan have got no other pictures. So it's very possible that when Archie visits, the boy visits, that she then uses that. These are all just theories. So I think that Harry is potentially looking for a school for the boy. So how would they get around that? Well, that's quite easy to get around that, because if they divorce, Archie will be over here, and I think that Harry will potentially come over here so Archie can go to the school here, and then Lily will stay in America with Meghan. And even though most people would frown upon that because it's splitting children up, they won't see that as an issue because they're already split. I think the boy is already here. So that's not really going to be an issue in the great scheme of things. And I think the mainstream media and the rest of the people, even though we will know the truth, will just go along with it. Because look, they've lied. For the last 5 years, they've got away with this lie. So it's not really a stretch to think that if they lie again, that they're going to get away with it, because they will, because everything is being cut out. And I do think that is where the royal family are involved. I think that is where, to some degree, they're allowing certain things to happen. And I think part of that is the sort of colluding of the lie of the children. So I think that is where the royal family are involved. And that could also be potentially the blackmail. Like, Meghan knows the truth in regards to the boy. She knows the truth in regards to the girl. And there is every chance that she would utilise that to get what she wants, utilise that against Harry, utilise that against the royal family. So the fact of people saying that this is all a big conspiracy, that actually they're all together and they're all working together, I don't believe that for a second. But I do believe that the royal family do know the truth now. Whether they did in the beginning, that's for anyone's opinion. I have my own thoughts on that. But I do genuinely feel that part of the media problem is that especially in the UK, that they are being using the media to create the lie. Now, the reason why the American media are not saying anything is because Harry and Meghan are not going anywhere with any children. Because I do believe if they were out and about normally and they'd created this fake family, the media would be all up in their face. Because they're never seen with children, what can be led to believe is they're just keeping their family private. And that isn't a far stretch. But we know that it's more than that, because like she does on her Instagram, she would be using, especially the little girl, to overshadow Princess Charlotte. She absolutely despises the Princess Catherine. She absolutely will despise Princess Charlotte. So she would be using herself and the little girl in any which way if she could. So I believe that the girl doesn't even look anything like the pictures that we were being shown in the beginning, because I think that she was manipulating a lot of the pictures. And so there's every chance that if she's out and about with a little girl, someone could get DNA. We don't know. So I think that she is hiding the little girl, using her Instagram to create the illusion of this is our daughter that we gave birth to, hence the twerking video. Oh, look, because it's funny how they have never released a video of them doing anything with the boy. Suddenly, 2021, they did some weird twerking video, and then that comes out, and that's their evidence, if you like, of her being pregnant. Well, of course it's not. We know that. We know it's not evidence, but that's how they'll see it. So everything that they've done is to undermine the royal family. Everything they've done is to create the illusion and the lie that they are a happy family. This is not two people that are in alignment with the royal family and they're all in a conspiracy together. This is not Harry getting what he wants from his father and then deciding, you know what, from this moment on, I'm gonna behave. Because the other thing he did was he did an interview. One of the bones of contention with Harry is his interviews, that he keeps putting things out publicly. So you're telling me that Harry got what he wanted from his father and everything was all hunky-dory, and then chose to not only go to Ukraine and overshadow Yvette Cooper, her first appearance, but then scuttled off somewhere, leading everyone to believe that he met with Zelensky, and then did an interview mentioning his father again, saying that he has got no remorse about his book. So I would imagine that that book was mentioned. I think they probably wanted an apology from him and he said no. And so he doubled down on the interview. The things that we heard in the interview, I would imagine, were being said in that meeting with his father. So no, I don't think for a second it went well. So for anyone that says, oh, it went well and Harry's coming back, like I've said, body language, behaviour, it tells us everything we need to know. Harry is reactionary. He does things petulantly when he gets told no, and this is one of them. And I always say that. So when we're looking at other people's videos, unless they are explaining, like I do, how I get to my thought process, even if I don't necessarily have any evidence, always be open-minded when it comes to certain. I'm not saying don't watch these people, but if you're getting people that say, oh, this happened and that happened, look at the logics, use critical thinking, because you'll probably find that a lot of the time it's not true. And that's how we can determine truth from the lies, which is what's incredibly important. You know, it's, as much as I know that the salaciousness, and sometimes, you know, I get sent things in my email like, did you know Meghan did this? And then I'll Google it, and there's nothing. It will be something on Reddit, something on another YouTuber has said, but there'll be no credible evidence whatsoever, which tells me that it's a non-story. Someone's made it up to make it seem. I mean, let's be honest. Harry and Meghan are bad enough. We don't need to make stuff up about them. And it makes people's job, like myself, it makes it harder because we're trying to find the truth. You know, I'm not going to lie for the sake of getting clicks and views, but sadly some will. Probably why my channel doesn't do as well as others, because I don't do that. But yeah. But anyway, but let me know what you think in the comments. You know, do you have your own thoughts and opinions on this? What do you think? What do you feel? And it's okay if you completely disagree. You know, the whole point of this is that we're able to disagree respectfully. You know, we don't need to come at anything with anger or hatred or nastiness. It's like, please respect each other's point of view. If you're seeing someone that comments something, please don't go in and tell them that they're stupid for thinking that, or, you know, try and just, you know, if you don't believe it, then maybe just give it to them in a way that inform them, give them some knowledge, and help them that maybe they might come to a different decision. But if you go in and you attack somebody for their opinion, then that makes you just as bad as the cult squad. You know, the whole point of this is if you don't agree, that's absolutely okay. But tell me why. Don't just say, I don't agree, because I can't go anywhere with that. So if you don't agree, tell me why. Why don't you agree? Or email me. That's okay, because like I say, I'm open to always open to having my thought process changed. You know, if someone comes out with a very valuable reason, I'm always open to that. Knowledge is power, as they say. So yeah, so thank you as always if you've got this far and you've watched the whole way through. I really do appreciate the view. Please don't forget to like on your way out, and don't forget to also subscribe if you haven't already, because it does help the algorithm and does tell YouTube that I'm a channel worth keeping. If you want other perspectives, other points of view, then please don't forget to go across to my Bite-Sized Tea channel. Go and support me over there, because if this channel ever goes down, I will go over there as well. And especially if you're sick and tired of Harry and Meghan, because even though I do cover them over there, I also cover other things too, or I'm trying to. So if you've got anyone in mind, also drop it in the comments. But yeah, so I hope you have a great rest of the week. Well, what are we now? We're Wednesday. So hopefully I'll have another video coming Friday. And so yes, also, I just want you all to know that I am hearing you when I'm getting the messages of people saying, are you going to do a live? Yes. So please make sure that you are subscribed, and so you have all your notifications turned on, because over the next few weeks, I am going to be going live. So just so you know, it's coming, it's happening. I'm going to be doing a member one specifically. So for members only, there is going to be a live for members only. And there's going to be one for everybody. So nobody's going to miss out, but I do feel it's important that members get something because they are joining as members. So there's going to be two. There's going to be a members only live where you can ask me anything you want. Anything is up for discussion. And the same with obviously everybody, but because that's going to be hopefully bigger than the members, it's going to be different for me, slightly more difficult for me to get to everyone's questions. But hopefully with the member one, if you've got some questions, get them down, make sure, and I will be putting a notification up on my community page of when it's going to be happening. I will be doing a poll to find out the best time for you. So yeah, so keep an eye out for that. But it's coming. I am definitely going live. I absolutely promise you it's going to be coming over the next few weeks. So if you want to join me for a live where we can discuss Harry and Meghan, whatever it is, then yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. It's time. It's time. So that being said, as always, you know, I love you. I appreciate you, but most of all, I respect you. Take care. Bye-bye.